Okay, yeah, we are live, Grace. So we'll give people like a minute or two to join here now that we are live.
Okay.
And then I'll introduce you.
Okay, that sounds great.
Let me actually make sure. Let me double check something here. We are live.
Okay.
And then I'll introduce you.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, we are live. Let me actually
Grace.
make sure. Let me double check. We'll give people like a minute or two to join here. Now that we are live.
Okay.
And then I'll introduce you.
Okay, that sounds great.
Let me actually make sure. Let me double check something here. We are live.
Okay.
And then I'll introduce you.
Okay. Leah.
Yeah, we are live. Let me actually make sure. Let me double check. We'll give people like a minute or two to you want to type in there?
Can you hear me okay, Leah?
I can. Yep, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. And you know what? I had another screen open that was replaying everything we were saying, so I closed it. So do you hear that now?
That's better.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, good. Because I was like, I'm hearing myself twice.
Yeah. I know, I didn't know where it was coming from.
I didn't either.
I think we got it figured out. So, okay, so Grace, people are joining now, so I'm going to go ahead and get started.
Okay, great.
I'll introduce you really quick, and then I'll turn it over to you. So you guys, hello and welcome. You have joined a Google Hangout with myself and with our new friend, Grace Keohouho. I got to meet her in Arizona just a couple of weeks ago. There's this coaching school that her and Nikki, who's actually her mother, put on. And you guys, I have heard about this for years now, for a couple of years. I've heard about it from several different national sales directors who have attended this Coach Excellence school that the DSWA puts on. And so for a variety of reasons, it never worked in my schedule until this September. I flew out to Phoenix and attended a 3-day coaching school with Grace and Nikki. And then we had some of our sales directors there attending. And you guys, I know you've heard me say it a million times, but I'm going to say it again, that it was really, really just incredibly life-changing. It's a different way to think. It's a different way to speak. It's a different way to coach. It's a different way to think about your business. It's a different way to parent. It will change your marriage, your relationships, and it's just really like high-class training that you get that will just shift your paradigm with how you think and communicate. And it doesn't just affect your business. It really affects every relationship that you have. And so I enjoyed it so much that I wanted to bring Grace to Ohio. Okay. And I don't know if you know, but she lives in Hawaii. So that is a very long way away and a very different climate than she's used to. But she's coming here to Ohio in December, bringing some of her family. We're going to be in Cincinnati at a hotel downtown, and we're going to be able to experience the 3-day coaching school that myself and some other sales directors got to experience a couple weeks ago in Phoenix. And so Grace and I had this conversation last week about the coaching school and what my expectations were and like what we really wanted to give to the women who were going to be there. And that is when Grace volunteered to do this hangout with us. And it was her idea and just something she wanted to give to our area just out of service to us and just desiring to add value. And so we're doing this 30-minute interview with Grace. And I came up with a handful of like what I consider like tough questions, just kind of tough questions that it's hard to process through some of these questions. There's not like an easy answer to these questions. And so I'm going to interview her and ask her these, and you guys get to listen to her response, and it really will just be some excellent world-class training for you, and it'll be just a little taste, like a little small taste of what you'll experience at the coaching school for 3 days. Okay, so there's no way we could share with you in 30 minutes the full experience of what you'll learn at the coaching school, but we just wanted to give you a little taste and like a little teaser of what you would learn there. So Grace, I just want to say to you, thank you for your time. Thank you for your time, and it was a joy to meet you there in Phoenix, and the way you speak and the way you communicate is just so moving, and like you really do make a connection with everyone you're in front of and everyone you're in the space of. You can feel that heartfelt connection, and you were just excellent at making people feel important and special when we're in your space. And so again, thank you for your time today. We're like really excited to hear from you. So.
Thank you, Leah. And I'm so grateful to have this time with you. And with all of you who have tuned into the Hangout. This is live, and this is very transparent. Nothing is scripted. Really, we just, Leah came up with some questions that she thought would be very timely and appropriate for you. And so really, I'm here to serve you. The other thing to think about is to have a piece of paper and a pen handy with you, because I am what I told Leah, a one-hit wonder. So you've got to catch it if you want to keep it, because some things just come and they flow. So I want to just give you a heads up to be able to take notes, and so that you can really glean the essence of what this experience is meant to be about, and to take it and apply it to your life and to your business and to the people that you love the most. So thank you for allowing me to speak into your life.
Yeah. Okay. So you ready for some questions?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
And this might go out of the order that I sent them to you, but I sort of want to start with this one. Okay.
Sure.
Let me pull it up, and you can still hear me, right? Because I can
still hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Good.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, you're coming through loud and clear.
Okay. Good.
Okay. So I kind of wanted to start with this one, because, and it's sort of a two-part question. So what's the difference between a scarcity mindset versus working with abundance and working with a mindset of abundance? And the follow-up question to that is like, how do you know which one you have? Because sometimes when you're in a mode of scarcity, like you don't know what you don't know, and like you're sort of blind to maybe your own scarcity thinking, your own mentality thinking. And then like, I'm going to tack another question on the end, and I can repeat these questions. But after we address that, like if you realize that you are in sort of a scarcity mindset or working out of scarcity, like how do you make that switch? How do you go from like, okay, I know I'm like sort of thinking it with a scarcity mindset. How do I switch over to abundant thinking? Like how do I bridge that gap?
And there's a lot of different ways to look at that. The first thing that comes to mind with scarcity mindset is that there's not enough. There are not enough people. There are not enough opportunities for hosting. There are not enough people to join my team. I'm too late in this business. They're seeing things as the glass is half empty, or they've fallen short. I missed my goal, versus I am 10 steps closer to my goal. I am 7 people closer to my national area. They look at it as, oh, I'm 13 short, versus I am 7 closer. I'm seven directors closer to my national area. That's one way of looking at scarcity mindset. Abundant mindset is when we're saying there's more than enough to go around for everyone, that the glass is half full, that there are an abundance of people that are waiting to hear from me and to be invited to a skincare class, to learn about the amazing products that we have to offer. We are with an established company with a history of success, with a history of making a difference and empowering women and speaking into the lives of many people. scarcity mindset, when people, I'm going to give you an example here. I like to use this board. I use it often. There are two types of motivators. So, and this ties in with scarcity versus abundant. So there are two types of motivators. There is the stick. Okay, there's the stick. And then there is what we call the carrot. Okay, here's our carrot. And I am no Picasso, okay, folks? I love to draw. And this is the best I can do right now for a moment. So here are two concepts I want to share with you. In this instance, there is no right or wrong. This instance, this is a motivator, a motivation. Okay, and I'm going to explain something to you really quick. Motivation is external, inspiration is internal. Please remember that. I personally cannot motivate anyone. I choose to personally inspire people. That means evoke possibility thinking, evoke their greatest insights, evoke their wisdom that may have laid dormant within them. So inspiration is internal, inspiration is sustainable. Motivation it can be temporary. It's almost like getting a pump up. Now let me explain that to you really quickly before I get to this grid, and I will. Motivation is almost like we're pumping people up. You know how we cheer them on? You can do it. I know you've got what it takes. I believe in you. I trust that you have what it takes to do this business. Go out and make it happen. Yay! And they're feeling so good. They're like, oh my gosh, she just pumped me up. I'm so excited. I can't wait. Let me go out there. And it's like we pump them up like a bicycle pump. We pump them up. They're full. Now here they go. They're out in the world and they get rejected. It's like their bicycle tire goes, oh my gosh. I got to go back to my leader again. Can you please pump me up again? Do it again one more time. Yes, you can. You can do it. It doesn't last. It doesn't sustain. Motivation is a temporary solution. Inspiration is long going. It's long standing. So in this diagram, this is motivators. Some people are motivated away. So they are moving away from something. In this instance, there is no right or wrong. Remember, this is just what it is. They're moving away from something. So I met a woman that was both at one stage of her business. When she started her business, she was an away from person, meaning she was working away from living in poverty. She was working away from being a single parent with more month than money. She was working away from not having any time to be with her children because she was working 2 or 3 jobs. She wanted to get out of poverty. So this type of motivator is an away from motivator. They're working away from the stick. They're running from the stick. This carrot is that they're working towards something. They're working towards. That means that, and for this particular woman that I'm speaking of, once she started her business, she moved away from this and towards this. Now, she said, now I'm focused on taking my entire family, 40 people, on an all-expense paid trip to Hawaii. That is my new goal. She was working towards something versus getting away from something. What I have found to be true is there is no wrong or right in this instance. A lot of people, though, need to understand this with their teams and organization. If you can understand this, you're going to know how to ask questions associated with their motivators. So if this person is an away from person, a question I would ask someone that's joined my team is what are you working what do you no longer want to experience in your life? What do you no longer want to have happen? That's my question for this person. If I'm working with a towards person, I'm going to ask her, what are you working towards? What are your goals? What would you like to see happening in your life? How do you want to benefit from your Mary Kay business? Those are the questions I would ask. And another one, a more powerful question is, how do you see yourself benefiting from a Mary Kay business? See, because ladies, seeing is believing. Seeing is believing. So when you can ask your prospect, how do you see yourself benefiting from a Mary Kay business? What you're doing is you're opening up the realm of possibility, and they're looking at what is possible. How do I see myself benefiting? Everything happens twice. As Stephen Covey said in his second habit, first in your mind and then in your reality. First in your mind and then in your reality. So if you can set the pace with your prospect, person that you're talking about in your career conversation, how do you see yourself benefiting from a Mary Kay business? Or how do you see yourself? You're placing them in that place of possibility in their minds. Seeing is believing. Seeing is a powerful word as well, because as I shared with you, Leah, at Coach School, approximately 65% of the world's population is visual. They're visual. So how do we transfer from a scarcity mentality to an abundant mentality? Well, there are a few thoughts. Changing our language, making some adjustments to how we talk. Rather than saying to myself, I didn't make it, I didn't get there, I lost. This is what I hear a lot. I've lost another consultant. I've lost them. Did we really lose them? Are they out wandering on the streets? We haven't lost them. They made a decision to step away at this time. So the quick reframe of that is, who else is waiting? Who else is looking for what we have to offer at Mary Kay? Where are they? See, always the more beautiful answer for the more beautiful question you ask yourself. Always. So if you're telling yourself, I've lost them, I've lost them, they're wandering. We haven't. We haven't lost them. They made a choice to step away. And we have an opportunity in our mindset to say, there are others. There are more. Where are they? I have seen so much growth over the last couple of years. People that we watch, we see who's coming to this school, and which, by the way, our attendance has tripled. Our attendance tripled from last year to this year. And it tripled because of word of mouth, not because of what we're marketing and what we're putting out there. It's because people are growing. People are experiencing something different. And I've been watching and monitoring, and one thing that I notice is the distinction. See, if we have a lack of, or as you said, the word that was used, it was very powerful, scarcity. Scarcity mindset can repel. People hear it, and it's an undertone, and they want to be like you? That's what people are asking. Do I want to do life with this person? What can I learn from this person? How is this person a life-giving or a life-taking person? Do they smile when you walk in, or do they smile when you walk out? There is a difference. Scarcity mentality, often people, they hear it and they're like, ooh, repel. Versus an abundant mentality, meaning there's more than enough. Connect, engage. So the quality of language that you use, the mentality that you have, will engage people. It will be almost like an instantaneous connection where they feel like, I want to be in your space. I want to know who you are. So how do you bridge the gap? Well, I gave you a few tips. One is to reframe the thought. Reframing the thought. So a great way to reframe a thought is to say the opposite. So if I said to myself, I lost another consultant, I'm going to say to myself, reframe real quick, where's my next consultant? Who else is out there that's looking for this business? If I have a cancellation, let's say I had a booking and I have a cancellation, I could say, oh my gosh, no one wants to book a party. No one wants to book a facial. No one wants to, have me come over and just no one. Well, first of all, no one is a global statement. So if your team members are saying no one wants to book, a great question to ask them is, who is no one? So it'll be like this. Who is no one? And it'll come like a funnel. No one is Sam. Who else? Just Sam. And so giving them that opportunity to clarify, okay, they're saying to themselves no one, and in reality it was one person that didn't want to book. Sometimes we can trick our minds to say no one, and it's really just one person. So who's no one? Who else do you think would want to book? Who else have you booked before that you haven't booked recently? Who else is it about time for them to experience some of our new product? Maybe our new microdermabrasion. Who doesn't have the microdermabrasion that could benefit from it? So I'm hoping that was beneficial. Leah, any questions or comments about the bridging of the gap and the thought process?
Yeah, I'm just so glad you gave the example of one of the things that you said was changing your language. And just for those of you who haven't been to the coaching school, one of the first things we covered, and correct me if I'm wrong, Grace, but I think that very first night we focused so much on self-coaching, because it's hard to coach others when you don't first coach yourself, and you have to learn to be your own best self-coach before you learn to coach your team members. And I'm just so glad you touched on a lot of those things, because, oh man, the self-coaching was probably the biggest takeaways that I took that you can practically implement like now. You don't even have to wait till you have a conversation set up with a team member. Like, you can start coaching yourself now, which is a great segue to my next question that I wanted to ask you, which is, how do you self-coach through disappointment and failure? Because it's just a reality of our business and life. It's not if you're going to be disappointed or if you're going to fail. It's just a matter of when you're going to experience that, and you will at some level. And so how do you help yourself through that? How do you coach yourself through big disappointments, big failures? Like, how do you process through that?
Well, one thing that I love that Michael Jordan said is, he said, I failed my way to success. I failed my way to success. And I love that Edison said the same thing about the light bulb. He said that, he went through 10,000 possibilities to come up with the right solution. So it's how you look at it. See, what I have found is that without some valleys, as you would say, without the valleys, how can we appreciate the magnificence of the mountaintops? It's in the failing. It's not in that we failed. It's how we get back up to keep going. And what I've found with people that are great success is that some of them had the deepest of valleys to go in, meaning that it was a significant, some would say, failure. And in reality, I call it was a springboard to their success. And the mountaintops were so magnificent because they went through those challenges and adversities. Because, ladies, there is no story without some falling. There's no story. There's no learning lessons that we can impart in the people that will follow us. There's also, how I see it is that I have tripped over many things so that I can teach others so they can walk and jump over it. They can jump over the hurdle, jump through it, go under it, around it, and through it. So is it really a failure? It's only a failure if you allow it to hold you, take you hostage. That's when it's a failure. It's when you say, okay, and this is an interesting exercise. I want you to, if you can, imagine where your goal is. So imagine in your area, in your home, in your office, wherever you are, imagine your goal and where it resides in your, as if it were, so over here, okay? So I'm imagining my goal is over here next to my window. And I stand up. So if you can, I'd like for you to stand up. If I stand up, you will see half of me. So imagine, I want you to stand up if you can, and I want you to take one step closer to your goal. Okay? So well, I'll just do it right now. Okay, so I'm going to take one step closer to my goal. I'm still not to my goal yet. I'm taking one step closer. Now I'm going to stand up and I'm going to take another step towards my goal. Am I there yet, Leah?
Nope.
No, I'm not there yet. Okay, so what I want you to do is, so many people focus on by how far they missed their goal versus turning around and seeing how far they've come. So let's say you were focused on, what would be a goal that someone focuses on maybe on unit production come July 1st, that June 30th date hits, and they didn't get that number. What was a number that you heard that someone said to you and they didn't quite get to it?
Let's say like the trip, finishing 650,000 unit club to earn the top director trip.
Okay, so they didn't get the 650,000 to receive the trip. How far did they get?
Let's say they got to 400,000.
400,000. So when you look at that, you're looking at, I took 400,000 steps towards that goal. How will I do it differently next time to ensure its success? What will I do differently? What did I achieve? See, sometimes what we're doing is we're so focused on the goal and we missed it that we forget to tap our shoulder on the 400,000. That we get to celebrate the wins along the way. See, when you celebrate the wins along the way, you have the stamina to keep on going. So quickly, self-coaching is asking yourself a better question, asking yourself who, what, when, where, and how questions. Who, what, when, where, and how. Notice that I left the why off. Why carries judgment? Why didn't you get to the 650,000? Why aren't you on that trip? That does not do anything but beat us up. It's like, okay, hit me while I'm down. Hit me while I'm down. See, sometimes we are our own worst critics. We're harder on ourselves. We say things to ourselves that we would never say to anyone else. Anyone else. And it's said to us. So, if you want to be kind to yourself, ask self-coach. Also, you know that you carry yourself everywhere you go. We don't always have access to people at any given time. Maybe I got a cancellation, I'm disappointed, or maybe I didn't get to go on the trip and I have me to talk to. How will I track differently next year? How will I ensure that that's a success and it's done? This and something more, this and something better, this and something beyond. Remember, Leah, I shared that with you, and I'm going to share it with all of you really quickly. I hope this is serving you. And if you do have questions, can they text you, Leah, or how do we do this?
Yes, have them box me questions.
Oh, box. Okay, thank you. Box Leah if you have questions, because I know we're covering so much ground. I mean, 30 minutes, really? It's like it goes so fast. So let me come back to my thought. We submitted a proposal for a contract and we didn't get a response. And I was devastated. It took weeks to prepare this proposal and there was no response to it. It's like you going and following up with a prospect, you go and scheduling a career conversation and meeting with them in person, and them saying, let me think about it, and then they never return your call, never return your emails. It was one of those. And I was really disappointed about it. So I ended up calling my coach. And she said to me, Grace, what if it was, powerful question, Grace, what if it was this and something more, this and something better, this and something beyond. And I'd say, I think you're crazy. And she goes, humor me. And she had me say that statement. And I kind of was like, yeah, this and something more, this and something better, this and something beyond. I was kind of being a really challenging client. And she goes, humor me again. And I said it and I meant it that time. And do you know, within weeks, the same client, different division, contacted us for a contract 3 times the size of our original proposal. And then that contract became 10 times. Now it's become exponentially larger because it continues to perpetuate year after year. It's one of our biggest clients. So was it worth it for me to humor her about this and something more, this and something better, this and something beyond? I'm sharing this with you from experience, that it absolutely, it's not that you fell short. You were 400,000 steps closer to that goal. And now it becomes time to self-coach and decide, how will I do it differently? What will I do next time that will give me the results I'm looking for? What are my expectations of self? What will be my daily method of operation to keep me on track? What are some of my SMART goals associated with that goal? How is it specific? How is it measurable? How is it attainable? How is it relevant? How is it trackable or time-bound? See, SMART, and we'll talk about that a bit in Coach School, it's about setting a SMART goal using SMART questions. Versus, I'm going to sit down and set some SMART goals. No, I'm going to ask myself some SMART questions to get the best possible result. So I know time is of the essence. Leah, how are you with what we've shared so far?
Awesome. I mean, incredible. I have little Post-it notes that I've been taking notes on and posting them all over my wall here just to remember some of your words and your statements and your phrases. And I've heard this stuff. I just can't hear it enough because it's really so, so powerful. And I know we're at our time, Grace, and I know I didn't ask you all the questions. And so they're just going to have to come to Cincinnati and see you live.
Well, I wanted to, yeah. And if you do need to go, Leah, I'm cool with it. If they did have a couple of questions, I'm open to that as well. What is?
I think I had one just pop in.
Okay.
Okay. Let me ask this one. I think this is a good one. And we'll finish with this, Grace, if you don't mind.
I'm happy to.
Okay. So the question was, if we can't clearly pinpoint if we're a stick or a carrot, or let's say if our consultants are a stick or a carrot, what are some questions you can ask to really pull that out, to understand what she's motivated by, if possibly she doesn't even know what she's motivated by?
Wow. So I was asking my son this last night, because you can use this with at people at any age. I asked him, what makes you happy? What brings you the most joy? Because it's very challenging to ask someone what your goals are if they're not certain of where they're going right now. So what brings you joy? What is most important to you, the top 3? Remember that question, Leah? Mm-hmm. And I would like for you all to do this. What's most important to you, the top 3? I want you to think about it and write down what's most important to you, the top 3. You can come back and re-listen to the question later. Does everyone have it? Good. Because what I just asked you is really about your value system. It's your internal beacon. It's your directive. So what is most important to you? And usually it's in hierarchy. So the first thing you listed is at the top of the list, second and third. So that's how we identify your value system. Now, how are you living by that value system? By what's most important to you? How are you operating by that? So how do you align that which you desire with that which is most important to you. And what was interesting, where that rooted, that question rooted from a woman that stood up when we were talking about values, and she started crying in front of her peers, and she said, all of these that are most important to me, I'm living by none of them. And she had been living by none of them for years. That's one quick way, is to identify what is most important to you, the top 3. The next is to find out, do you feel inspired to move towards something, or do you feel inspired to move away from something? So some people, the away from is getting out of debt, no longer living in poverty, getting out of the car they drive that they can't stand. Towards something is going on the trip, going the jewelry, the car, the house. These are external motivators. We didn't even talk about the most important, which is the emotional why. And that's what you're going to learn a lot about. And Leah, you wanted to have a lot of focus on that at your school, which, by the way, everyone, this is super special. This doesn't happen. I don't do this often. I've gone out to a couple of different national areas. I think this is the 3rd within your company that I have privately done a school for. Me personally. We do them all over the world. But with your company, it's the 3rd. So there's something to be said. It doesn't just happen overnight. And if you go and you look, and Leah, you will know in your company, you will know it's actually identifiable who has come to this school and who hasn't.
I believe it.
And it's repetitive. And people, it's like, we don't pay people to tell people about these things. no one's getting paid for this. People are saying that because this is my experience. This is what I got from it. And this is what I want you to know about. So I just pray that I get to see you, that I get to be in your space, that I get to speak into your life. And those that are meant for the message will be there. That's always what I say. Whether it's thousands or whether it's 2, 1, they were meant for the message.
And just to add a little bit to that, when Grace and I were talking last week, she asked me what my priorities are for our area who's going to be there and the directors who are going to be there. And of course, I want them to go through their program, and they've got their curriculum and a workbook that we process through and just all kinds of resources and support. So we're going to go through that. But my priority for you guys that I think is going to be your strongest takeaways is going to be just that it gives you a structure and system for coaching. Okay. So it's not just like a lot of abstract ideas. It's like tangible things that you can wrap your hands around, you could wrap your mind around, and like that day or the next day actually have a very effective coaching conversation. Myself and some of the directors that were there, while we were at the event and just a day after getting home, we were already implementing what we had learned. Okay, so you're going to get a structure and system for coaching that you can immediately start using. And then the other big thing that Grace and I talked about that was so powerful at the school was identifying your emotional and your material why. Okay, because we have both. We've got the emotional side and then the material side of that. And I think that's just, it's so powerful. If you don't know the why behind why you're getting out of bed every morning and working your business, then it's like, why do it? And when you fail or when you go through adversity, like why keep going? And so we're going to dig deep with really discovering the material why behind your goal and also the emotional why. And Grace is just masterful at drawing that out and helping you to discover that. So.
And that will be important because, see, if you know your why, it will be easier to support someone else to understand theirs. And it's not just that when you know we've hit your why when you cry. People don't necessarily cry every time. There are subtleties that you can discover that out of everything else that we are asked to coach people around is the most common, is the why, because so many people are unclear with it. And this is what they'll do. They'll take many detours and experience a lot of stop signs or timeouts in their business when they're not clear with it. I want to share this with you because this will be important. If you have people on your team that have stopped and hovered, or their business has digressed, they are not clear with their why. And so we will equip you on how to support someone to get clarity about their why so that they can move faster, less detours. It's an expedited route. That's what we've seen. We've seen people go from top sales director to national in 6 months, tripled their income, and then pushed out 3 nationals following that within 2 years. I know it can be done. Applied action is the key. Applied knowledge is the key. Knowledge is nothing. It's applied knowledge that's powerful. So if you'll take it, as you said, Leah, take what you've received, even today, if you'll go back and re-listen to it, because the distinction that is the distinction is in the subtleties. The distinction that is the distinction is in the subtleties. And I know sometimes people are like, oh my gosh, because my thinking kind of goes like this. It's called elevated thinking. And I would love for us to experience each other so we can together have elevated thinking. Thanks, Leah. And thank you all. Bless you all. Make it a wonderful week. And I look forward to seeing you all in Cincinnati, Ohio in December. I'm going to have my winter coat on. That's for sure.
Don't forget. Grace, thank you again. We appreciate your time so much. It was great to connect with you today. So we'll see you in December. Have a great day.
Bye, everyone. Okay, Patty, I don't know how to do this. Hopefully she's happy with that.